Let's move on now to the next email today. And the next email today comes to us from Omar KG, who writes, I loved Wreck-It Ralph, and I saw that you watched Ralph Breaks the Internet. I wanted to know when you'll be able to, when you'll be allowed to talk about it, because I wanted to know what you think about it. Thank you, and bring on the filthy. All right, thanks a lot, Omar. And yes, I actually got a chance to go, Ann and I got to go to the world premiere of Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet, a couple of weeks ago, and I was all set to do the review the next morning. Because the good folks at Disney, nobody told me there was a review embargo. I remember I watched the movie, and then the next morning I was getting ready for the show, and I started going through all the emails that I had with Disney about the movie and the screening, because normally when, every studio, when they send you these invitations, when there's an embargo, they include in the email, please note there's a review embargo on this picture until such and such and such and such. So I scoured through all the emails that I had with Disney over Wreck-It Ralph, or Ralph Breaks the Internet, I should say. And I saw nothing. But I noticed that there were no reviews up on Rotten Tomatoes. So like 15 minutes before I did the show, I actually emailed directly one of the Disney reps saying, look, is there an embargo? And they got back to me 5 minutes before the show. There's an embargo, so I had to hold off on it. But now the embargo is lifted, and I can talk about this movie. First of all, Omar, I am completely on board with you. I loved the first Wreck-It Ralph. The first Wreck-It Ralph, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I believe Wreck-It Ralph came out the same year as Brave, the other Disney animated film Brave, which was a Pixar film under Disney. And Brave won Best Animated Picture that year. And I like Brave. Brave's good. But Brave was nowhere near as good as Wreck-It Ralph. It was just not in the same league as Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph should have won Best Animated Picture that year. But whatever, I digress. I love that film. I thought it was spectacular. I feel like they should have gotten on this this sequel a year or two sooner. But anyway, here it is, Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet. It was the same year. Thanks, Ray. 2012. Thank you so much, Ray. And I got to tell you what, guys. This movie's awesome. This movie's great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I am not prepared to say whether I like it as much as the first one or not. I need to see it a second time. But it is thoroughly entertaining. It's got all the charm of the first one. Because that's one of the things that the first one did so well. It was a very funny movie, but not roll out of your seat hysterical, but it had humor with great charm. And this movie, this sequel, delivers on all that charm. And it goes deep. It actually goes, when you start heading into the third act, you start realizing it's dealing with some themes that are far deeper than you're used to seeing out of this type of movie. And it does get pretty deep. Ralph is great. Penelope's great. These new side characters are great. But by the way, I want to talk about one set of characters in particular that you see in the trailers, and that's the Disney princesses. The Disney princesses you saw in the trailers, they make an appearance. Now, I thought, and maybe you guys would have been like me in this, from the trailers, I got the impression that the Disney princesses probably just pop up for one quick scene. I'm not going to give much away here, except to say the Disney princesses play a bigger role in this movie than you might think, and they're in more of this movie than you might think. Because I thought they'd be in for like a 1-minute quick cameo. They are in this movie more than you might think. And I got to tell you, I loved it. And when you're bringing in all these Disney princesses, you're going for novelty, and novelty can feel pretty cheap and a little cringy, but they crushed it. They absolutely crushed it. And one of the biggest laughs in the movie, I didn't even realize was in one of the trailers. I guess I didn't see it. But one of the biggest laughs in the movie for me had to do with the girl from Brave. I can't remember what the character's name is from Brave, but she's Scottish, right? And there's this, I'm not going to give the joke away. I'm not going to give the joke. Once you see the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it has to do with her and the other princesses making a comment about her, and I just about spit out my popcorn. I laughed so hard. They were charming. They were great. They all got featured. It's not like they, where one of the girls from Frozen gets highlighted, but, maybe Moana doesn't. No, they all get a moment to be highlighted and featured. And I thought it worked great. I thought it was very, very charming. So now you guys know the basic gist of the movie, right? Penelope's game breaks. It's an old video game, so there's a risk that they may just trash the game. They discover that the part they need to fix her game is on the internet. So Vanellope von Schweetz and Wreck-It Ralph go onto the internet to go and try to find this thing to save her game. And that is where we find this movie at this point. I'm going to point this out too. Ray and I got invited last night to go to this VR experience with a Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet VR experience. It was crazy good. Folks, keep your eyes open for this. If it opens in a mall near you, go check it out. They put the full head VR thing on you, like a full helmet and a full body vest with a gun, and you walk into this thing. It is the most immersive VR world thing I have ever walked into. It is crazy. And you get this gun that when you pump the gun, you change your ammo from milkshakes to pancakes. If you pump it again, you go back to milkshakes, and each of them do different things. Look, I don't even know how to explain the experience we had, but it was crazy fun. If you get a chance to go and be a part of that, do go and be a part of that. But yeah, look, overall, Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet, charming, fun, so consistent with the characters we had. We pick up with them a few years after the events of Wreck-It Ralph. It's just great. It's one of those films that I left with my heart feeling happy. And I think you will too. So if you get a chance to run out and check out Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, go do it. I think you're going to have a good time.